Hey guys, welcome back to Home Built, and in this episode we are going to start getting the Roxster ready for its first track day. So most of you know that I don't normally do promos at the start of my videos. They're just generally not relevant to what I do, but Ridge Wallet actually contacted me and I thought this is something that could actually change my life every day, and I thought it was a fantastic idea. Now, this is my old wallet, so this is what I used to carry in my pocket every day, and I've always been a front pocket wallet type of person. I get up in the morning, I put on my watch, my phone, my keys and my wallet. They're in my pockets from the time I get up to the time I go to bed. I don't take it out, I don't set it anywhere. I never lose it because it's always in my pocket. Even when I'm in the garage working on the cars. And this started getting really cumbersome. And that's where Ridge Wallet I thought was a fantastic idea. This thing is tiny. It can take up to 12 cards. It's RFID blocking. It comes in over 30 styles, including burnt titanium and this, which is the carbon fiber. And it's also got a cash strap on it. So as many of you know, I'm a firefighter and I like to have my badge in my wallet. That was one of the things I was sort of worried about. I've managed to stick my firefighting badge still on the cash strap, and I've still got room for cash in behind. It's got a lifetime warranty. It's so much smaller to carry around, and I've been using it for a couple of weeks now, and I'm a big fan. So if you guys want to try it out, you can test it for 45 days for free. You can use my promo code. Just go to ridge.com/homebuilt and use the code homebuilt, and you can get 10% off and free shipping worldwide. All right, thanks, Ridge. All right, so those of you who watched the first episode on the Roxster last week will have seen that there are some very, very questionable modifications done to this car. And I want to try and get a baseline at the racetrack, essentially how the car is now. But I need to fix a few little bits and pieces at least before I get it on the track. So first of all, let's get it up in the air and have a look at the underside of the car and actually look at what we're really dealing with. Okay, so starting from the front here, you can see the factory front bar is this side has sort of been snapped off. It's low and been scraped a bit. That's not that unusual for a Porsche of this era. My 996 has got a few scrapes under there as well. You can see it's sort of been bumped there, whether somebody tried to jack it up or what, I'm not sure, but there's a bit of a dent. That's just in the subfloor there, not anything too drastic. Up in the wheel wells, it does look like we have a leaking strut of some sort. Under here, yeah, you can see the shock is leaking, and yeah, the shocks are not great on this car, so that does not really surprise me. Heading back, the middle of the car doesn't look too bad. Everything looks pretty much the way it's supposed to. Surprisingly, coming to the back, it's a little bit greasy, but there is no obvious leaks. This car has not leaked since I had it. It actually seems not too bad. I may be speaking a little soon, but... And coming up the back here, you can see why it is so loud. So all the factory muffler is gone, and all they've done is replaced it with a couple of hot dogs. So that is why we have an extremely loud car. Okay, so first thing I want to have a look at is these headlights. Obviously, I can't go to the racetrack if the headlights are going to fall out when I hit the brakes hard. So let's have a look at what they're doing here and see if I can fix it. So looking in behind here, it says ballast on it. Looks like somebody has tried to change the headlights over to some HID lights or something like that at some stage. Whatever they've done a terrible job of it, because these headlights are by far the worst I have ever seen. When I was driving along, I could not see any glow out the front of the car at all. It didn't appear from the inside of the car that they were even on, so they are terrible. What I think the previous owner was unaware of is that these things are basically held in by this cam here. So this piece of wire just sort of flips up and locks the light in. So if I get rid of these excess screws that are just floating in here, we'll try and slot them in, and then the cam is actually located in behind this trim panel, in behind this here. It's just an Allen key, and I should be able to turn it and hopefully lock the headlights into place. That is much better. Ended up being a 5mm socket is what you need to tighten up the cam, and the mounting is slightly loose in the front, but it's not coming out. So the headlight is in. That's one down. Let's just do the other one, and we should be good to go. All right, the headlights were a simple fix. The very next thing, even though I really don't want to unpimp this car to take it to the track, I really want to take it in all its horrible glory to start with. I have to do something about these stupid lights they put in that completely block the radiators. I have no idea what they were actually thinking when they did this, because these are actually ducted behind here straight to the radiators. There is no other way for air to get into the radiator except for through these holes. So why they blocked them up, I just baffles the mind. So I need to, they're actually molded in, so I'm going to have to sort of chip them out. There's a wood screw here. Let's see how I go getting them out of there. All right, so I sort of cracked the body filler that was holding in this corner here. I'm not sure if they've cut this or just molded it. I might chip it away a bit further. They have cut out the sort of the factory vent, and they used a lot of sort of Sikaflex, the black Sikaflex, and cable ties and wood screws to hold this in. The wiring wasn't actually connected to anything, but now I've got it open. I can there's nice clear path through to the radiator, and I can actually get in there and clean it out. There's nothing actually in there in front of the radiator, which is a good sign. The radiator looks like it's okay. So one of the things that is weird though is there are some bolts in here. I've sort of saw these things along the outside and thought it was part of their decoration, but they're actually bolts. Whether it is there for decoration or like to pretend to be sensors or something, I have no idea what they're there for, but I might try and take them out now and see if they're actually holding anything in. Okay, I've just pulled one of the bolts out, and it looks like they are just there for decoration. I have no idea why. I may as well put it back in the hole for the time being. It's part of the charm of this very questionable vehicle. And let's get on and open up the other side. At least we'll be able to get some airflow to the radiators now. Woohoo! It's not pretty, but that's going to give me some cooling on the radiators finally. So let's move further back, and I think it's time to start giving the car a bit of a service. All right, drained the oil, and I cut apart the filter and had a look. There's nothing nasty in there. Doesn't look like any sort of major glitter or anything in there, which is a great sign. I just went down to Super Cheap and got a new oil filter, which comes with a new O-ring for around the housing for the oil filter, and also a new crush washer for the sump plug. So let's put this all back together again and chuck some oil in it, and at least oil is done. Okay, so I topped up the oil. I've just put in 8 litres to start with. I'll run the car for a second, run it for a minute or so, see how the oil settles down, and then I'll see if I need to top it up or where the level sits. But while I'm here, let's get rid of some of this excess sort of ballast from the boot. Yes, I want to get a baseline for this car, but none of this stuff is actually connected, so let's take it out of here and yeah. give me some luggage space. All right, next thing, I want to make sure that I can stop when I'm at the track day. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to flush the brake fluid on all these brakes. I am certain that this car probably has not been done at least in the time that this previous owner owned it. So let's get the wheels off and see what we can do about bleeding some brakes. Okay, flushing my brakes. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to suck all of the old fluid out of the master cylinder with my brake bleeder. Let's get this cap out, however it comes out, and start doing a brake fluid flush. All right, that old brake fluid was pretty dark and horrible. I think it's been in there for quite some time. I'm going to swap it out. This is some 10/10 racing brake fluid. This is the same stuff the supercars use, so it should be good stuff, .4+. So let's re-top up the master cylinder up to really full so that we can go around and start bleeding, and we're going to end up having to top this up again. Okay, so now I've come around to the furthest caliper from the master cylinder. I'm going to bleed this one first. The bleed nipple's here on the top, so I'm just going to flick the cap off, connect up my power bleeder, and start sucking the fluid through until hopefully it goes clear and we can see that we've got nice fresh brake fluid in the system. All right, brakes are all bled. I'm happy with that. So we have nice, fresh racing brake fluid in there. At least it shouldn't boil at the track, but we'll see. The pads all look like there's heaps of brake pad on this, and the discs actually don't look too shabby either. So while I'm here, behind these beautifully placed wheel arches that you can see finished just in the right spot, the car has actually been scrubbing a little bit. So I'll show you here. You can see where it's actually been touching the tyres. So I'll rectify that now. All right, so I just quickly tapped that back into place. But of course, I loosened up my wheel arch flare, which looks like it was just Sikaflexed on. At least for the time being, I'm going to do the same, and I will try and glue it back there, at least to last for this this track day, and then we'll worry about the all of the hideous stuff later. So I just hot glued it back on again. It was the easiest thing I had lying around. It's really ugly, but it's far from the ugliest thing on this car, so it'll do. All right, next job, I'm going to flush the coolant. The drain plug is here, so I'm going to get a bucket underneath and dump it all out. Who knows when it was done last? All right, so I went through, I removed the drain plug, and then I removed these 3 hoses to try and get the last of the coolant out. I got a bit wet, but it's all drained now, so I'm going to button it all back up again, and then we're going to look at topping it up. All right, so I really should completely flush the system and run through just some straight radiator flush first, and then do it again. I'm going to be lazy. I'm just going to re-top it up. I'm going to use some race coolant. So I've gone in here, I've removed the cover, and then I've pulled up the little bleeder valve. So this thing just sits over like that. You just need to pull it up vertically, and that will open the bleeder valve. Topped off the coolant. So now I'm going to go and start the car and get it up to operating temperature. Anyway, the next thing I want to tackle is trying to get the tint off of the front windscreen because it's really annoying. And of course, for some reason right now, the roof decided to not work anymore. It was working previously when I had it, no problems. Now it's suddenly stopped and it's not doing anything. So I might have to do a little bit further investigation on that, but that's not really important at the moment. Let's see if we can get this tint off the windscreen. That's going to be fun. That's so much better. It's not super dark, but it's far too dark for, you don't win any tint on the windscreen. Oh, and it wasn't too hard. It actually came off in big bits. Once I managed to sort of lift up an edge, so much better. And while we're in here, this passenger seat is, it's not bolted in. I think there's a bolt that's in by about 2 threads in the back here. That looks like the only bolt that's in the entire seat. So I have to now see if I can mount it down. All right, that is, that's disappointing. So we have one bolt, that is the only bolt that's in the seat. As you can see, it is not even finger tight, holding it in. On this corner, they never actually made anything to mount these seats into the car. So there was a, this cap was over the top of this hole here, but there's nothing to actually bolt it into the car, and it doesn't look like there ever was. When I had a look further, there is also nothing in the front. Moving over to the driver's seat felt firm, but on further inspection, this has a bolt here which looks like a Bunnings bolt that somebody has drilled through, and they've just drilled it through the floor and just stuck a washer and a nut on the underside. This corner, nothing. One bolt, again, not that tight. No bolt. There's 3 bolts between 2 seats. That's not safe. All right, so I've got a bit of a plan moving forward on what I'm going to do on these. I've got this bit of steel. It's actually leftover runner for my gates, but I've marked out where the factory holes are, and this is going to sit bolted to the floor between those holes. This is obviously a nice big thick bit of 3mm plate, and I'm going to build some mounts off of this that I can then bolt this seat onto. So that's the plan. Let's start drilling some holes and see what we can do about bolting this thing down. All right, so I've made myself up a couple of brackets. I've got my first bracket here. This bolts down to the floor, and then the seat now bolts onto these angled sections. So it's not pretty, but it's more than strong enough for doing the job. It's all made out of 3mm steel angle iron and this bar. And at the back, I've got this other bracket made out of 3mm angle iron that bolts onto the factory, into the factory hole, and also onto the seat to join them together. Not ideal, far from the perfect solution, but it will do for the time being. It'll actually get it so that it is bolted down and solid. So that's what we're going to do. The driver's side, I've done the same thing. So let's finish bolting this up, and we should have some seats that fit the car. Okay, so as I showed you, basically under here, what they've done is they've just removed this whole back center exhaust and just put in these 2 hot dogs. I just ordered a couple of these basic glass pack mufflers. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in something like that up in here. Just cut out what's there and just paste these in. It's just keeping it simple. I'm not reinventing the wheel on this. I'm not going crazy on exhausts at this stage. I just want it to be something that I can tolerate driving. I've disconnected the battery already, so let's just start chopping and see if I can sort of fit this in. All right, that was pretty straightforward. We've got the basic thing just tacked together now, all in place, keeping the same tips. Basically, as you've seen, I've just replaced those hot dogs with these glass black mufflers. So I'm going to unbolt it now, take this part off, weld it all up on the bench and chuck it back in, and we should be good to go. All right, that is on there. I still haven't finished bolting it up entirely, and these tips don't perfectly line up, but I don't really mind. This is all a sort of semi-temporary type deal. All right, let's see how this sounds. It's still got a nice exhaust note, but it's not crazy. That sounds much, much more in the realms of decency. Oh yeah, I can live with that. I can happily live with that. That is drivable. All right, so I've got it all done. I've got a little bit more to finish on the driver's seat, which I'll do off camera, but basically we are ready to go for the track day. It's going to be very interesting to see what this is like, so I hope you guys come along and join me for that, but that will be in the next episode. If you're enjoying this, please do all the stuff, like and subscribe and hit the bell and all that sort of stuff. And if you want to help support the crazy builds, you can join us on Patreon and watch these videos a day early, ad-free. And if you are searching for any parts for your Porsches, make sure you check out PorschePartsByJeff.com first. See you guys.